Hi teachers, welcome to Unit 2. We have officially almost made it through Unit 1, and so here is your Unit 2 virtual preview. The agenda for today is going to be just kind of an overview of what Unit 2 is going to look like, as well as resources that are available for you. There are tons of them that you may not know about. We're also going to talk a little bit about artifacts and what those are and the purpose, as well as a reminder for office hours. And then we're going to discuss the differences between expository writing and narrative writing, as Unit 2 encompasses expository while Unit 1 was narrative, and our scholars do struggle a lot with those two. Okay, so moving on, we are going to first say congratulations, you officially survived your first 6 weeks of school and Unit 1. I wish I had a cookie for all of you, but I will see you on CoLab Day, and maybe we will have cookies there. Otherwise, congratulations, and it's not an easy feat. Those first months of school can really be difficult. So looking ahead, as you can see on the screen, the Unit 2 TEKS are very much so spiraled from Unit 1. We have a couple of new ones, and that is using commas in series and dates, which is really important because commas are essential for sentences, which then influence our writing, and scholars are often not understanding where to put commas and why in series, and as well as how to format those in dates. So definitely be paying attention to that. We're also looking at 3.24b, the bottom TEK, where it talks about consonant doubling when adding an ending, as well as dropping the final E when you add endings. Those are two portions to that TEK that really trip scholars up, just because it's along the lines of spelling words correctly, and that's definitely something you want to make sure you focus on throughout Unit 2. Otherwise, a lot of our TEKs have remained the same. They're just going to be a little extended. And so 3.19a, writing about personal experiences, as well as 3.20a. When we were talking in Unit 1 about those TEKs, it was with personal narratives, while in Unit 2, it's going to be with expository writing. So definitely pay attention to the differences there. In Unit 2, scholars need to be able to edit for grammar, mechanics, spelling, and use a rubric with that. And that's when you want to use your arms and your cups. And there is a already pre-made lesson plan in the AMLs for editing. And so definitely make sure you jump over and look at that, because it's a full, complete lesson plan for you with resources, and it will definitely be helpful. We're going to continue with verbs and adverbs, which will be more of a review for our scholars, and using mechanics with indentations, knowledge of letter sounds, word parts, segmentation, syllabication, and so on. So a lot of our TEKs, as you can see, definitely spiral, and that's really how all of the units are for writing. We start off with TEKs. We may add some grammar TEKs here and there, but otherwise the writing TEKs will continue to spiral. So just keep that in mind as we're moving on. One really important thing for us to touch on while we're together today is resources. Some of you may not know everything that the resources section on Blackboard has to offer, so I'm going to kind of walk you through what that looks like. If you need a reference again on how to get there, I've kind of listed the steps on which to do in order to find these resources. So the first thing you'll do is open up Blackboard. From there, you'll go to 3rd grade and then writing. This goes the same though for all subject areas. Every single one, reading, math, writing, science, community, should have resources posted. So this will be the same across the board. Once you're here, you will scroll down to where it says Resource Bank. And then inside the Unit and AML Resources folder, each one is bumped out as Unit 1 or Unit 2, grammar or writing. And so then when you click either one, they're broken down by TEK and subject, and there are resources that are directly aligned to the objectives stated in the unit at a glance. So for example, for Unit 1 grammar, there are all these different worksheets posted, homophones, common and proper nouns, synonyms and antonyms, adjectives. There's types of sentences, PowerPoints. And so it's not just going to be a worksheet or something like that, but there's also a PowerPoint that you can use with your scholars that walks them completely through the entire thing. And that's super helpful so that you're not having to make that yourself there, which is great. And then if we go back and take a look at some writing resources, there are graphic organizers, there's an editing worksheet for cups, there's AML connected resources, so if you're using a model lesson, the resources are posted here as well. Parts of a narrative story PowerPoint, just like the other types of sentences PowerPoint, this walks scholars through, and it's a scholar-directed PowerPoint, so it's essentially something you can use in that lesson. And then we also have friendly letters and the writing rubric that is connected to the CA and the STAR test. So jumping over and taking a look at what we have upcoming in Unit 2 for grammar, we have a verb tenses PowerPoint to use for scholars, and then a bunch of different activities that align with all of the Grammartiques. So no matter what Grammartique we're studying, there will be at least one resource up here for you. So we have Commas in a Series lesson, but we also have Commas in a Series worksheets and activities. There's subject-verb agreements, which is going to be very important on the CA. And so I can give you an example. It'll just automatically open up that worksheet for you, and you can print that out right for your class. So it's super easy. If we jump over to writing resources in Unit 2, this is where I've changed things up a little bit. So I've posted anchor charts throughout the Unit 2 resource section, just because things are getting a little bit more different and we're moving from narrative to expository. There is an array of anchor charts that you can create for your class. We also have writing planners and task cards. If you're struggling as to what to have scholars write, I have task cards there, as well as a teacher writing model. If you need something to model for your class, there's one uploaded for you to walk through with them as well. So moving right along, we are now going to jump and talk real quick about artifacts. And so these were just posted, and they are artifacts that tie in with what we have done in Unit 1. So the artifacts are 2 different samples from things that we've done in class, and the purpose of them being posted is for you to get an idea of what a low would look like, what a medium and what a high would look like for both of these things. That way we can just connect across the district as to how we're looking at our items. So the first one we have over here is where I had scholars work with brainstorming. And when we do brainstorming, we make a donut planner. And in our donut planner, we put the topic in the center. And then scholars are instructed to come up with at least 3 different ideas about that topic before they decide what they want to do. And so on these 2, they're explained why this example is low. And then over here, it's explained why this is considered a strong example. And then moving towards the narrative planner, it's the same thing. So we're working through as we're getting ready to write our personal narratives. And you have a paper that's labeled medium, as well as an explanation into why. And then a paper that's labeled high and an explanation into why. And so if you're struggling with what your scholars should be writing here, if you're struggling with how to grade it or what it should look like, there are, under the artifact section on Blackboard, low, medium, and high examples for both the brainstorming section and the planning section. And that's something you're going to have every single unit that can help all of us norm. As we continue going, this is just a little reminder about office hours. Office hours are sessions that are done via Skype, and those can be specific topics that y'all would like to talk about, as well as Q&A and kind of discussions about certain things in the unit. Just note that we are required to hold those office hours, and so I will be there whether anyone comes or not. So if there is something specific that anyone would like to talk about, it would be really helpful if you would come, and if you just want to shoot me an email and let me know. I just also sent out the invite for Office Hours 2, where we will talk about lesson planning and as well open it up for kind of some questions, comments, concerns you might have. The last thing we're going to discuss real quick is expository versus narrative writing. So all of these anchor charts are posted on Blackboard under the resources section. We just want to make sure that our scholars can clearly understand the difference between an expository essay and a narrative essay, because they're going to have a difficult time jumping from one to the other. And so creating something along the lines of an expository versus narrative chart would be helpful. We also have one that's got the elements of expository written out so they can see what needs to go into that essay. We have intros, and so if they're trying to really hook their reader and grasp them, there's examples of intros, as well as a graphic organizer that scholars can use for expository. Since it's going to be a little bit different than the narrative, we can have them break it down something that's a little bit more clear to see. So just making sure that the main difference our scholars understand is that expository essays tell about a topic or explain something, while a narrative is telling about a story. So explaining and telling a story are two very different things, and so we really want to be sure that our scholars are able to grasp that. So definitely use these charts as resources, and if you need anything else, please do not hesitate to reach out. I hope everyone found this really useful, and welcome to Unit 2. If you have any questions regarding the resources, the artifacts, what you're going to see in Unit 2, or anything else that you know is up ahead, just make sure you let me know. Otherwise, I will see everyone at Collaboration Day.